So anyway, so my name is Daniel Kaye, and I have three hermit crab children's books, and they all focus on Milo, who was a hermit crab that we got back over in 1999. That was the first time we got a hermit crab, and my wife had been away at a convention, and she brought back this little hermit crab, and I didn't even know what to do with it at first because I had only seen them when they were very little, and when I was very little, and I never got one, but I was always kind of intrigued by them. So when she brought one home, I thought, oh man, what is this thing? Like, why would you have a hermit crab? So I started watching him a lot. And, we named him, I don't know why we named him Milo, but we did it anyway. And when we had him, we would watch him, and he didn't do that much. It was a little bit of climbing, getting acclimated to his life here in our house. And then my favorite part was I took him out of the tank and I just put him on the counter, and he ran around the counter, and he was crawling, and he was gentle, and he was really cool to look at. And so from there, we decided to do something more. That's Felix's tail there in the camera. So we started doing more with him, just doodling really, because I thought he was so cool. And then at the time, I was working for a newspaper, doing some writing. I was doing freelance writing. And the editor at the time was really supportive of doing something different. And it was an entertainment publication. So we came up with this idea of doing a comic strip based on the topics of the week. So if it was a big concert coming in, or there was a new book being released, we would draw comic strips based on that. And I said I wanted to have a comic strip. So he said, well, do you have any ideas? And I said, oh yeah, I have this whole thing worked out, and it's, you'll love it. It'll be great. He said, okay, bring it by Monday. Well, of course I had nothing in my head, other than maybe a hermit crab, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I sat down thinking about Milo, and just thinking about what would he do if he went to a concert? What would he do if he read a book? All that sort of thing. So what we did, what I thought would be kind of fun, and cool, that would be full, two words together, would be to create this character that was very sweet and kind. There were some people who drew hermit crabs and they were, as crabby. They were in a bad mood, but I wanted my hermit crab to be optimistic and hopeful and a little innocent and naive. So we kept drawing it like that, and he would be amazed at what he would see, and he would make neat little comments about authors and things like that. And it became pretty popular. And it went on in that for about 10 years in this weekly newspaper, which was distributed in a bunch of newspapers, really the section. And then it went into other publications and went into a country music thing. So I was doing hermit crabs, did Milo with a cowboy hat, going to country music venues and things like that. And then he was in other publications like self-help publications and things. And then after I left the newspaper, went and did other things, we decided to look into something different. A friend of mine who owns a comic book company reached out and said, hey, I'd like to do something for children. So I said, I have an idea for a children's book. He said, sketch it out and bring it over and let me see, what it looks like. So I did. I wrote it, just sat down, wrote it really kind of quickly, and brought it over to him, and he really liked the idea because he had seen Milo in the newspaper. But one thing I wanted to do, a little twist on it, was that I wasn't interested in just making money. I wanted to make money for something. So I decided that all the profits for the first book would go to an animal rescue of some sort. So we did that, raised a little bit of money, which was great, a couple $1,000s for a local animal rescue. And when we came to a second book, we decided to do a different place that the money would go to. So at the time, we decided to do it to community policing in our area because there was a lot of outreach from our police department to try to build better relationships with the community. So we gave all the money to this community place, and we were able to give them a few $1,000s, which was great. And then where I was working, I am working still as a director at a retirement community. There's a rabbi who lives there who had written a bunch of children's books. And he had one that he loved, but he wanted to redo it and do it differently. So instead of the way he had done it, he really wanted to use Milo in it because he liked Milo as well. So we rewrote the book together. And now we have a third children's book that just came out. And the money there goes to senior groups and goes to also a fund in this rabbi's wife's name at Penn State, which helps students who don't have musical instruments in classes who can't afford it to be able to pay for it. So that's what we did. You know, it was a lot of fun with that too, and be able to give them a few $1,000s. So essentially the series, the Milo series, is all money all goes to charity, all kinds of different charities. And if I do any more, you know, that'll be the plan. So I see all these great questions and comments, and I'm going to keep them because I have some great ideas based on them. It looks really cool. So I appreciate that. Just so you know, we'll mention this a little bit later. If you want to go to the website, it's danielkaye.net. So DANIELKAYE.net. And you should be able to find all 3 books there. And thank you, Mary. And whatever you need, if you have any questions, if you see it, if you want to talk to me about the books before you order them, you can do it through that too. Let me know, because I'm always interested in people's point of view, especially this community, because you have such great creative people doing so many different children's books. So yes, and I do autograph them, of course, and we'll make a little sketch of Milo in there for you, and we'll autograph it any way you want. They're $10 each. And again, all the money goes to charity. So let me show you some of them. So this first one is going to be backwards. You see, I see that it's backwards. Never underestimate a hermit crab. So think of that title. I love to go and talk to kids at school because they don't really know some of these big words. So it's kind of fun to talk to them about this. So never underestimate a hermit crab. I always say to them, what do you think underestimate means? And little kids have great ideas of what certain words means. And essentially what I want, oh, thanks for everybody for telling me about the cover. I'm glad it looks good to you. What I tell them is it's kind of like you guys, that people sometimes look at kids, little kids, and they underestimate them. They don't know that the kids can do some of the really cool things they can do, that they can be artists and athletes and scholars and bring out great things from their minds, and humor and all kinds of things. So I wanted to create a book based on a little bit of a flight of fancy. So using hermit crabs to reflect the children, it was more of a humorous book. So what we tried to do and what we did was, I will go through a little bit of the book to show you. And this is Milo in his little tank. This is a hermit crab. And it says, now you might think that hermit crabs just sit in their shells, ignoring the world, not doing much of anything. He looks a little bored there, doesn't he? A little at peace. A lot of people do think that. There's Milo yawning. But they are wrong. See, Milo's starting to look at us. Very, very wrong. And Milo's up to something. That's the whole point. He's got a plan. For example, hermit crabs love to dance. And there they all are at the dance rave, the dance club, getting it done. Little Elvis-y, you know, little moody-eyed ones looking at the other ones. You wouldn't know it. Hermit crabs often imagine themselves as astronauts. And there they all are out in outer space. Not a lot of people know that hermit crabs actually discovered the moon. It's true. I read it somewhere. Hermit crabs occasionally run for political office, and there they are, as angry as humans are, kind of wasting our time. But hey, you know what? Somebody's got to rule the planet. Hermit crabs don't drive, but they think they look good while sitting in cars. See? He's getting it done, man. All right. And then hermit crabs take karate, but they rarely get above the first belt. I think it might have something to do with their claws. They can't seem to master a lot of the movements. So we have that hermit crabs think they can control people's minds, which I'm sure some of your crabs do. And he is saying, you are under my power. You will do as I command. You will make me a sandwich and it will have extra pickles. But the guy is asking him to stop it. So it's also, hermit crabs love comic books, although they're very critical. And he says, wait, Super Mollusk is the mass crustacean's long-lost grandfather? Who writes this stuff? We go into hermit crabs know all sorts of home improvement techniques. There he is on his drill. Not easy, but he's doing it. And he says later, we'll be making a maple dining room table. See? And there we go to the next one. Hermit crabs are great storytellers. And he says, then the giant hand reached down and picked up the innocent hermit crab, looking at him with two blue eyes. And all the little hermit crabs are freaked out, man. All right. Hermit crabs often get dressed up because they feel fashion is fun. Look at them. See, I bet your crabs do that too. The hair thing is not easy, I'm sure. But the hat thing and the mustache, perfect. Hermit crabs like to imagine the moon is made of cheese. See, I mentioned the moon earlier. And he says, sadly, none of it is mozzarella. That's Dr. Crab. Hermit crabs rarely pick up after themselves. See how messy they are? Just like kids. That's the one that kids always love. Because that's, I say, is this like your bedroom? Hermit crabs are often afraid of shadows. See, it's just a little moth, but he's imagining something terrifying. And the hermit crab's favorite holidays are their own birthdays, which often get out of control. See, he's swinging from a chandelier. I know my hermit crabs do that all the time. And then hermit crabs have very good self-images, maybe too good. By heaven, I'm gorgeous. He's imagining himself. And then, so the next time you think your hermit crab is just sitting there, not doing much of anything, remember this. Hermit crabs can do all sorts of things. Just like you. See? He's like a motivational speaker right there. See? He can get it done. So that was the first book. That's what we did. And in the back, we did put Hermit Crab Care and about the organization Pause, which is in the Philadelphia area where we gave money. And it was fun. It was great to do. We got to go to a bunch of schools, sell some books. It was fun getting kids to draw. I tried to create a hermit crab that kids could draw kind of easily, actually. I didn't want to have them feel too intimidated. I know when I would look at children's books sometimes, I would think, oh man, I could never do that. And I wanted to create something that they felt they could do, that they could copy. They could put a little piece of paper over it and they could draw too. So when we would go out, that was a big thing. Now, the second book that we came out with is called Never Take a Hermit Crab for Granted. My son used to say this is the second in our Never series. So this one was done a little differently too. I wanted to try a little bit of a style. Yeah, you heard the dog. Yeah, the whining dog. My son took her out. She She's a rescue. She has one eye. And in that now, she's currently blind. She's deaf and having a little dementia. So she's a lot of work. But yeah, that was Gracie. You heard. And Stacy says, hi, Aiden.
Hi.
Hi, he says. So this book is a little different. This is a story of something with Milo that he was up to, as opposed to just vignettes. The nice thing was that the introductory letter to the book was written by my mom. I had my mom write it. So it's very gushy and glowing. So if you do get this book, you should read that because she's quite funny. And Aiden helped me write this. So this is our second book. You'll see on the bottom there, it has Aiden's name because we kind of worked on it together to come up with a fun story. So the story is, once there was a hermit crab named Milo who lived in a tank in a little boy's room. So he's got that cool tank with the kids' stuff all over it. Now, the boy didn't pay a lot of attention to Milo, leaving stuff in his tank and in front of his tank. I don't think Milo likes that too much. One day, Milo got tired of this. Milo was saying, I'm tired of this. You see where that came from. And the cool thing about this book is hidden in all the pictures are all kinds of references that you might enjoy. My son and I are big David Bowie fans, so there was a lot of David Bowie references we snuck in there. Anyway, so Milo left, and this is how he left. He flung himself up, got to the top of the tank, climbed out, and climbed away. So, just clicking that off there. Then, first, he investigated the family room where he could watch TV, and he was shocked. He's sitting on the couch looking at that big TV and all his options. Then he checked out the kitchen, and he said, I wonder if I have the ingredients for a souffle. Then he went through things in the sister's room, and you see he's playing with all her games and her toys. He even explored the dog. He climbs up and he says, I'm starting to think this isn't a giant crab. You know, in his little world, he wasn't sure. He spent hours on the internet watching videos. There's an otter eating a cabbage, watching a goat faint, a bird with a napkin, a cat taking a bath, and a horse laughing. See, just like you guys. He enjoyed some video games. He said, take that, you pixelated robotic wolf from another dimension and your patch-wearing monkey friend too. He was very serious into his gaming. But then he heard something he didn't expect as he's riding the skateboard through the house. Mom, Milo's missing, the boy says. The boy had noticed he was gone and he was upset. He was actually looking for Milo. So was the sister. And so was the mom and the dad. Where could he be? When did you last see him? How could he have gotten out? At first, Milo was mad. Good. Serves them right. They don't notice me. They think I'll always be here. They take me for granted. But then he felt bad for feeling mad, and he loved the boy, and he didn't want to upset him. He said, I don't want them to worry. It's not right to treat them like this. So Milo decided he would show them that he was okay. But it took a couple of minutes to get their attention. First, he screamed and nobody heard him. Then he waved a flag and nobody saw. Then he blew a musical instrument and nobody heard him. Then he had balloons, nobody saw them. Then he got onto karaoke and he sung Hello, It's Me by Lionel Richie. And then he jumped up on a trampoline. But when he finally did get their attention, they all yelled happily, Milo! So Milo decided to forgive them, but only on one condition. No one ever took Milo for granted again. And he got a big sign posted above his tank, Don't forget Milo. So that was the Milo connection. So that was the second book. Now I should mention, just to because it's kind of fun for me to be able to mention this, if I can find it. That this book, on the back of this book, we got some nice comments from local people who love the first book. So one of them, his name is Josh Shapiro. And at that time, he was the chairman of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners, and here in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Well, now you may know the name Josh Shapiro because he's running for governor in our state. And I think he has a pretty good chance. And if he does, Milo helped. We also have Kevin Ferris, who was a Philadelphia Inquirer writer and an author of the book Unbreakable Bonds, The Mighty Moms and Wounded Warriors of Walter Reed. And then John McGoran, who is an ecological writer who wrote Drift and Deadwood and Dust Up mysteries. And he's got a lot of books coming up. So, and in the second one, that actually is the second one. So the third one, what we did was, this is kind of different. This is the one I wrote with a rabbi. And one thing that we got was we got a really great introduction written here. And this is written by, her name is Madeline Dean. I don't know if you know her name. She's our congresswoman here in Pennsylvania in our 4th congressional district. And she's been a good friend for a long time. And she bought all the Milo books for her grandchildren, and she was really supportive. So she wrote for that. What's cool about this book, this is the third one, it's called Never Tell a Hermit Crab, We Can't Repair the World. And we started writing this and putting it together based on Rabbi Howard Bogat's old book, before a lot of issues in this country. So before we needed to talk about peace and getting people together again. But we wanted to do something really positive and optimistic. And yes, Milo is well connected, Stacy, knows quite a few folks. He's kind of a fame hound. It's kind of pathetic in a way, but he knows good people. So we wrote this book, and here I want to show it to you. Now, this is different than the others. It's not as humorous because of the subject matter, but we write, in earlier stories, we learned that it would be a mistake to think that a hermit crab like Milo just sits around in his shell ignoring the world. We found out that some hermit crabs, just like you, can be silly, adventurous, fun, and very creative. You shouldn't underestimate a hermit crab, and people shouldn't underestimate you. Keep in mind, this is written by Howard, and I did the illustrations. So it says, lately, Milo has been wondering about our world. He thinks people have been angry and sometimes don't do what's right to make our world better. Maybe you have been too. After a lot of thought and plenty of naps, Milo thinks he knows what will show that we have made our world a happier place. And he says, turn the page to see what I discovered. Now, what we did here, before we get too far into it, is we kept a lot of blank pages because what we wanted were the kids to read what Howard wrote and maybe do a little bit of drawing themselves and then see what we did. And, maybe they'd be interested in writing a little bit what the picture meant to them. So it keeps them interactive. So it says, when buses filled with clapping hands travel to and fro on rainbow highways in the sky, and tears roll wet and salty from joy-filled eyes that once saw only sadness. So there's Milo, and he's seeing all the hermit crab kids in the bus. When love is everywhere, a hug, a kiss, a handshake, a smile, a gentle touch. And there's the hermit crabs, and they're meeting each other and smiling and giving each other a smooch. When dreams become workers working, hungry tummies fed, and happy children feeling sometimes scared, surprised, and angry, but always safe. And there's a big Milo taking care of a little hermit crab, making sure he's all right. He looks a little sad. When daffodils, cactus, oak trees, palms, wheat, and raspberries grow in fertile soil. And here's Milo. He's out in the wilderness checking things out. When there are always time for reaching, resting, healing, climbing, playing, writing, painting, hammering, rhyming, dancing. And then we drew pictures of Milo doing all kinds of different stuff, swinging on a rope or trying to, hugging his bear. Got a little Band-Aid there. Playing in a tree. You can see him right on the corner there on the tree. Playing catch, and then writing in the lower corner. When fences with unlocked gates encircle bows, arrows, swords, tanks, landmines, missiles, and handguns recycled into playground toys. So here he's on the swing and he sees his friends playing with all their, war weapons, and then he's trying to convince them there are other things to do. You can put them down. When all enjoy unlittered landscapes with fresh air, clean lakes, and sparkling streams. And here he is imagining a cleaner world. When friends are short, tall, thin or chubby, light-skinned or dark, with straight or curly hair. There are two kinds of hermit crabs. There you go. When wishes come true for those who want to live in houseboats, tents, apartments, mud huts, palaces, tree houses, homes of stone, brick, or wood. And there's Milo thinking of all kinds of different places people might be living. When grandmas, grandpas, infants, toddlers learning how to walk, men, women, girls, boys, college students carrying books, and folks with disabilities, like those in wheelchairs, treasure life and are treasured too. We have them. We have all kinds of people who look different and are different. And that's okay. That's actually good. When all this happens every day for everyone, then Milo knows the world will be repaired. And there's a quote at the bottom: when love is everywhere, the world will be healed. Is there any message more important or more timely? This is from John Cochran. He actually is the CEO of my company that I work for, and he loved the books and wanted to write something. And here is Milo loving the world. He's giving it a big old hug. And on the back, what we did was we thanked all these people who voluntarily gave us a bunch of money to publish this, to print it out. And the reason why we wanted to do that for them was that we wanted to thank people for being involved. And the more books we sold ourselves, the more money went right to the charities. When we did with Amazon, the first book, we didn't get much money. As you know, when you go through Amazon, they take a huge chunk. So we tried to pull it away from them and do it ourselves through the website, which is, I told you before, danielkaye.net, that Mary has up there. Thank you, Mary, again. And so you can order them, all three books, through that. And you can let us know if you want, if you want several copies for something. Of course, we can always make a deal if that helps. We do send them free to libraries if the libraries would like to take them. So if you have a local library, a school library you think might like it, you can always send me their address. Yeah, Lynn, right now you can only order the books through the website. But again, that's how we can make the most money to give to people. And it's 100% of the money. So we, even to print, we ate all that cost and had these people help fund that, so that 100%, you give us $10 for a book and $10 goes to these charities. And we were very careful on the charities we chose, not huge ones, but ones that really need it and really, take care of the groups that they oversee. So those are the three books that we have. The first one, again, is Never Underestimate a Hermit Crab. The second one is Never Take a Hermit Crab for Granted. And the third one is Never Tell a Hermit Crab We Can't Repair the World. So these are some cool things that we were doing. And now, I should mention, if you do want to see Milo still, I think it might be only in the Philadelphia area, but he's in the environmental magazine Grid, GRID. that comes out. It's monthly. He's been in that for about 8 or 9 years too, and he's in color in that. So if you are in the Philadelphia area and you want to pick up Grid, you can, or you can go to their website. I think it's Grid Magazine, an environmental one, and just tell them that you're interested and maybe that you heard about Milo. I think that would be fun for them to know about. And, if you have ideas for other things, I'm always interested in hearing what people think. If we do another book, which we may, or we do something different, we do something online, more strips online. Thanks, Stacy, for putting Grid Philly up there. I'd love to do him, on TV or have something more. If you know of anybody who's interested in such a topic. I'm also really honored that Milo is on so many bags and publications and all through these hermit crab organizations. You're welcome to use his likeness wherever you'd like. I'm really happy to do it. And for next year, thank you, Mary. We'll definitely have a bunch to sell. We'll put some special things in. If you order through the website, of course, there's some little sneaky things I can put in there. We have some cards and all, hermit crab cards that we can stick in for you to see. So it's really, Stacy, that's right. It's right there in your profile pic. So Milo's been a big fan of this organization for a really long time, and thank you for utilizing him. Hey, you got a sticker, Clover. That's cool. That's great. I've been looking at other organizations to businesses like Lynn mentioned. Usually it's strangely resistant unless you know somebody. But if you have any interest in being a mediator, let me know. I'd be happy to reach out to anybody, whether it's talking about Milo, doing something on Zoom for classes, if it's out of my area, sending them books, all kinds of things like that. We're happy to do. We want to do. We think the books have a really positive message and that Milo is a positive character. Want to keep him positive and hopeful because I just think we need a lot more of that right now in the world. So I think that it'll work to keep going with him. And, I've been looking at a lot of the different programs that we've done or you've done through the CrabCon this year. And there's so many cool ideas, so many great children's books going out about hermit crabs. There are so many interesting things that we could share. I think that maybe it would even be cool to use him to better educate people about hermit crab care. So maybe we can talk about something like that, Have I looked into selling them at environmental centers? Yeah, I have, in museums. Again, it's almost like you need the contact, some sort of connection. So if any of you are members at any museums or environmental centers or anything like that you're interested, zoos, you could let me know and we'll be able to send him out. Stacy, thank you for being very considerate. He is mine, but I like to think he's part of the whole community. And if you can use him in any way to better the information that's out there, I think that would be great. It would be really, it would be terrific to be able to use him. And the other hermit crabs that are in the strip. A lot of times, if you look at the Grid magazine, Milo is the main one. He's the nice, sweet one. And then you have hermit crabs that are a little more rough and tumble. So he has to keep them controlled. He's the one who's serious and not always serious, but let's say he's just very kind-hearted. So, we'll keep doing them. We really like doing them. And always take if you have suggestions for other things that we could do, we're always into it. I hope that there could be more about hermit crabs from other folks who come to the convention. Maybe we could get into some sort of a fiction thing a little bit more, people writing stories about what they think their hermit crabs do or what they know they do, what they do with them, how they interact with each other. Hermit crabs are super popular, and even though people don't always treat them the right way, and we can somehow educate them about that, they're still really popular, and they're often children's first pet, and we'd like to keep them around a lot longer and keep them healthy. And if we can somehow get them out of those places that sell them en masse and maybe do it in a better way for the hermit crab, let's do that too. I know that's a lot of the importance that we place on it in a lot of the programs over CrabCon the last few days. So Bill Nye the Science Guy. Oh my God, wouldn't that be great? That'd be fun. Yeah, we're going to just keep doing it. We'll come up with other ideas and get them in places. I'm looking to get the strip in a few other places too, as long as we can keep Milo as positive. And if you have any other publications you think that would be good to approach, even local ones, especially if they're small, I'm not looking to charge them to put it in there unless that money can go to charity too. If it just helps them with their publication, gets people more interested in their subject matter, then that works for me. So I'm going to keep looking at a lot of these different great ideas that you put in. And I really appreciate so many of you coming on and listening to the 3 books. I know you have a busy day ahead of you with a lot of programs, a lot of great things that Mary and Stacy and everybody have worked so hard to put together. And I really appreciate this opportunity. Mary was super helpful in letting me jump on late. She had reached out to me early on, but of course, I don't get everything done in good time. So Mary was very sweet to work with me to get me in here. So I'll be back next year if you'll have me. And if you need anything, you want to reach out, you could also reach out to me in my email, which is Daniel. Oh, my cats are going nuts. Daniel.Sean, which is SEAN.KAYE @Comcast.net. You're always welcome to reach out to that and just send me a message. And thank you, Mary. You're awesome. Always on top of things. So on that note, I will bid you a happy Sunday. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to me blather on and for the great ideas. And I will be in touch very soon. And hopefully Milo will be around to share things for years to come. So have a great day, everybody. And thanks again.